Strongest winds will be over with by this evening, but it's going to remain breezy through the weekend with occasional gusts up to 30 miles per hour and much cooler temperatures with highs in the 50s and 60s.
Tonight, several crashes across the region kept first responders busy, from a semi-truck on its side on I-90 to a multi-car crash north of Spangle. Tonight, everything you need to know. Washington Attorney General Nick Brown suing Providence Health and Services for repeatedly failing to provide reasonable accommodations to pregnant and nursing employees as required by law. What Providence is saying tonight. Well, this is what it looked like across the region today. Windy conditions kicked up dust and cut visibility for drivers. Those conditions are being blamed for at least 2 crashes north of Spangle today involving a total of 8 cars. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan. That wind advisory remaining in place for much of the region until later tonight, which is why we remain under that KREM 2 weather impact alert. So for more on that, we turn now to meteorologist Michelle Boss. Michelle?
Yep, the wind advisory continues until 11 o'clock tonight. I think we've already seen our strongest wind gust that was earlier this afternoon, 49 miles per hour at the Spokane airport, but we've still been seeing wind gusts at or above 40 miles per hour. So it is still going to be pretty windy this evening. We also have some shower activity as well. So some pretty active weather through the evening. Speaking of winds, Spokane and Pullman being the 2 windier spots across the inland northwest. Sustained wind at 28 miles per hour right now in Spokane, 26 miles an hour in Pullman, and seeing those gusts 35 to 40 miles per hour. We do have that wind advisory, which covers most of the inland northwest, and even a high wind warning for the higher terrain in far southeastern Washington over the Blues Mountains, where we could see wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour. But dealing with a little rain, shower activity as well. There have been a few lightning strikes here and there, mainly across those northern counties, but not a whole lot of moisture with this, despite how it looked only a trace of precipitation at the Spokane airport. But it's kept us cool. 52 right now in Spokane, 54 in Coeur d'Alene, and pretty much 50s across the region. A few showers are possible throughout the evening, and then we'll dry out overnight. Still be breezy over the next couple of days, but no more 80s in the forecast. 63 tomorrow, 60 on Friday, and some showers possible Saturday with a high of only 55.
All right, sounds good, Michelle. Check back in with you later in the show tonight. Following today's weather, Washington State Patrol responded to more than a half a dozen crashes, and 2 of those crashes shut down State Route 195 near Spangle. KREM 2's Christian Garza has been on the scene today and has the latest.
Highway 195 reopened around 1 p.m. here near Spangle following that multi-car crash. As dust blew over the town of Spangle,
I was thinking, wow, I'm glad I'm not out there driving in that.
Crew members here at Harvester watched as US 195 shut down due to multiple crashes, causing a detour right in front of the restaurant.
Like from across the street, the whole road was just covered in a cloud of dust. You couldn't really see the traffic on the road at all.
As you can see in this video sent to KREM 2, this is what driving on Highway 195 looked like just hours ago.
I mean, it kind of shook me up a little. I mean, you just kind of get emotional when you know somebody's going through something out there, especially when it's a car wreck or something like that. Right this way.
Nicole Gregory even helped some of those affected.
I didn't even know there was any pileups until a couple people wandered in and said that their bus had crashed and they were in a bad wreck, and somebody else said they had pulled someone from their car.
Washington State Patrol says 2 separate crashes happened on the roadway involving 8 vehicles and a bus. 1 person was transported with a possible broken ankle. WSP says there were other injuries, but they opted to drive themselves to the hospital, so officials don't know the full extent of their injuries. At this time, officials say extreme weather and dust were the main factors in today's crashes along Highway 195. In Spokane County, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Another crash today, a semi-truck that flipped over on I-90 near the Latah Creek Bridge. Take a look. According to WashDOT East, the left 2 lanes in both directions were blocked because of that crash. And at this hour, though, the inside lane of eastbound I-90 remains closed. However, we're hearing the freeway is opened. Washington State Patrol said that semi pushed the concrete barrier in the center into the westbound lane. That led to a big backup on I-90 today. Now, WSP also says the crash was caused by a truck driver being drowsy. Washington Attorney General Nick Brown is suing Providence Health and Services. Brown says Providence repeatedly failed to provide reasonable accommodations required under state law to pregnant and nursing employees. The office said today it investigated incidents going all the way back to 2021. Those investigations, they say, found employees, including many nurses, were routinely denied their right to accommodation, such as a private space to pump breast milk, flexible schedules for prenatal visits, and breaks to sit. The suit also alleges Providence violated state law by retaliating against employees who asked for these exemptions by terminating them, forcing them to go on leave, or assigning them to more difficult duties. Now, Providence released a statement in response today, writing in part, quote, "We remain committed to working in good faith to reach an appropriate resolution of any issues and are disappointed by the state's focus on litigation rather than collaborative efforts to help caregivers," unquote. An Idaho man accused in a 2017 Kootenai County rape investigation is now back in Idaho after being arrested in the Philippines. Deputies say 62-year-old Michael Moore was booked into the Kootenai County Jail on Sunday following his deportation to the U.S. Investigators say multiple victims reported being drugged and sexually assaulted after responding to social media job advertisements connected to Moore's property near Coeur d'Alene. Authorities say Moore fled to the Philippines before charges were filed. He now faces multiple felony charges, including rape and delivery of a controlled substance. To national headlines tonight, President Trump has arrived in China for his high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It is the first time a U.S. president has visited the country since Trump went there back in 2017 during his first term. Natalie Brand is at the White House tonight with more on the topics the two leaders are expected to discuss.
Hundreds of young men and women waving flags along with China's vice president and a military honor guard greeted President Trump and the U.S. delegation arriving in Beijing ahead of Thursday's big meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
We have a lot of things to discuss.
Before leaving Washington, the president said trade would be his top issue, with a push for China to open up to more U.S. business.
17 CEOs from top American companies, including Boeing, Apple, and Nvidia, are in China with the president, signaling a focus on deals. But with other huge issues looming from Taiwan to Iran, experts say don't expect big breakthroughs.
People have called this the stalemate summit, and I think that's probably the best you want to have. You actually sort of want an extension of the status quo.
Ahead of Thursday's summit, Beijing called Taiwan the core of China's interests and has emphasized its opposition to U.S. arms sales to the self-governing democracy. Lawmakers have questioned why a multi-billion-dollar arms package for Taiwan remains on hold after it was greenlit last December.
I am absolutely deeply concerned about possibly Trump, in effect, selling out Taiwan, which he gives every indication that he might consider doing.
I think that the president will continue to advocate for the policy that we have, which is supportive of Taiwan.
The ongoing U.S. conflict with Iran also hangs over the summit. China is Iran's largest purchaser of oil. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
More headlines to come here on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. A major parking change in downtown Spokane is drawing some backlash from business owners. Why city leaders say removing dozens of spaces under railroad viaducts is tied to safety and crime concerns. But first, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month continues. And today, a special ceremony bringing Spokane and Japan closer together.